All right, here's my audience. Rod and Annie. All right. So the implications of the horse slaughter ban. Horses are viewed as companion animals and working animals, like you would a working dog, like on a ranch. And since the ban, there has been problems due to welfare acts, an overabundance population of horses, and illegal exportation, also legal exportation to places like Canada and Mexico that allow horse slaughter. This was due to not correct slaughter practices within the facilities to start with, and the way that people were slaughtering horses that did not need to be slaughtered. According to Leslie Potter from the Horse Channel, this is a law that was passed in 1998 in California before the whole ban against the United States. Voters passed Proposition 6, which banned the slaughter of horses, donkeys, and mules, and sale for horse meat and for consumption. And this was the start of a national problem that was viewed as the people to take this incident into their own hands and create the ban for horse slaughter. And this was due to the improper slaughter techniques that were used in houses and the horses that did not need to be slaughtered. We need the ban back because there is an overabundance of Mustangs. People that cannot afford to have horses turn them loose and they repopulate with these Mustangs, causing a lot of problems. For instance, in Reno, Nevada, they have so many Mustangs that they are going into people's homes and eating their lawns because there is not enough food within the area that they're allowed to be in. People are sending the horses to Mexico and Canada, so a lot of people are selling these horses at very low rates at sales, and people are coming and buying them and exporting them. That could be in legal means or illegal means to Mexico and Canada to send them to slaughterhouses so they can make a profit. Also, with the extremely cheap horses that are up for sale, this causes a problem with the welfare of animals because people who don't necessarily know how much a horse costs can buy these animals at a cheap price and don't provide the proper care, the facilities, and the horses are not used for what they are intended for. Due to animal welfare now after the ban, it's not very good because the horses are starving and there's overgrazing causing environmental problems. And a lot of people are having problems having enough money to support the animals the way that they need to. A lot of animals are being mistreated, and there is not enough proper care, and human safety is an issue in these overpopulated Mustang areas. Due to the reproduction rates that nobody can control, they have tried to use programs where they will feed sterilization, but it only lasts up to 2 years and it's not very effective. Because of this, not enough people can have horses in a manner that they should be treated. The laws were put into place because not enough were euthanized after one stun. That is how slaughter practices were used. They use a stun gun to stun the animal so there is no problems with them being slaughtered. It kills them instantly and there is no pain to the animal, but this was not being done before the ban, and there's not enough people to euthanize the animals properly. You need 2 people, and at the time they only had 1, and they did not have the equipment that they needed. They were using cattle equipment, which was not big enough. So some of the solutions that we can use to help this and get rid of the ban is use an ethical and safe practices. We will do this by using management of cares. So this means there will be strict guidelines that the slaughterhouses will have to follow, making sure that the animals can be slaughtered, making sure that they are not good animals that can keep being used. there will be strict audits through the FDA or another organization to make sure that all of the regulations are being followed. We need to implement correct equipment within the facilities, such as non-slick floors, making sure that the horses have a place that they are stable and that the humans and the people working will not be injured. We need to create higher kill boxes. This is where the animal is put in when it is stunned, and then it is put through another process to later be slaughtered. And we need to make sure that there are 2 people at the stunning process at all times to make sure that it is being done properly. And this is from Grandin Temple, who is a professor at Colorado State University. She works in the agriculture department. And she also created the American Meat Institute guidelines for the cattle industry. So we would follow the same type of guidelines, making sure that everything's checking out properly. We'd make sure that the animal stunned the first time is met at 95%. The fell amount will be at 81%. Processed is 25%. And vocalization is 3%, making insensibility 100%. If we followed these guidelines, then we could create a production that produces meat that could be used within the United States, and it's an alternative for these animals being mistreated and sent elsewhere, which they are not properly treated for. So our action step would be to create new guidelines, like the Meat Institution does for cattle. We would have to change them a little bit, make sure that all the audits and the instructions on how the animals are killed and processed is met up to industry standards and is acceptable for the different species. So cattle would be different from horses, horses would be different from swine, and so forth. We'd make safer slaughter facilities, and we would use laws and guidelines to make sure that everything is being followed. There would be another section created in the FDA for horses, and to make sure that everything is needed to where it needs to be. And we would definitely make sure that there were strict audits, making sure that everything is being processed properly. If we can do this, then we can bring horse slaughter back. A story of, in 2004, there was a facility being built in New Mexico, and it was a $4 million facility being created to have proper techniques for horse slaughter, but activists decided to burn it down, causing the agriculture community not wanting to, bring up horse slaughter anymore and just completely shutting it down, allowing the ban to happen. We could use this, for instance, a rodeo cowboy at a college, Northeastern Junior College. His horse broke its leg and they could not do anything to fix it. They had to put him down. Instead, they could have brought him to a slaughter facility and used him for better use than just having to euthanize him. Now I need you to take action and to help get rid of the ban. So log on to websites, petition, and let's get the ban revoked. And then here is my ending audience.